People of the world, hello and welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 152. Quick question for you. Have you by chance ever in your life walked on hot, fiery coals, have you? I haven't. I think I could. And that's me just being optimistic in the moment. When I'm actually looking at the hot, fiery coals, I might think to myself, yeah, maybe I don't want to do this so much. But in my head right now, I'm like, yeah, I could totally do it. 10 surgeries before the age of 21. Have you had that? Did you do that? Have you stood in front of large groups of people and inspired them, connected them with other incredible souls on this particular planet? In this particular incarnation, have you done these things? Well, our guest today has. Her name is Shannon. I didn't ask her how to pronounce her last name. I'm going with Procise. Did I do it? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, put your collective virtual hands together for Shannon. Shannon, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me as a guest.
I'm stoked already. We were chatting prior to the show going live, obviously, and Shannon mentioned that she likes Qigong. Shannon, I would love to explain Qigong to the guests, but I think you should explain it. Explain to them what Qigong is.
Oh, Qigong. Many people have heard of Tai Chi, but Qigong has been around longer than Tai Chi, and it is a ancient Chinese exercise that has a way of opening up the body and meridians and lots of things to create movement and healing. And so one of the stories I was sharing with you is my one of my surgeries left me paralyzed, completely paralyzed in my left arm, and I had no more car insurance. It was just, I was in this conundrum of getting depressed and sad, and like there wasn't really anything I could do. And I met the wife of a Qigong master, and she said, well, at least come and check it out. And after 2 classes, I started to move my arm, and after 2 months, I've had and continue to have full range of motion without surgery. So I love it. It's an amazing modality.
Yes. And so this is a show about marketing, but as I consistently remind everyone that you need to chill out. Okay, it is 2021 and marketing is storytelling as far as this dude with 2 thumbs is concerned. Now, for those of you that may be unfamiliar, there's Tai Chi, which is Tai Chi Chuan in the Mandarin, and Tai means a lot or very, Ji are the poles, and Chuan means fist. And so Tai Chi is the yin yang symbol. It just represents the 2 extremes. And so Qigong is, they're like married in a way. And then there's a whole bunch of other martial arts you should be aware of, like Bagua-Jan and a number of others. But anyway, point being that if you've never heard of Wim Hof, you might want to check him out too. There's a whole slew of people on planet Earth that are all about getting the amount of oxygen we have in our bodies up, because it's incredible what happens when we actually breathe. And so Qigong is definitely part and parcel of that. Do you find that plays in to actually deep breathing and the healing that you experience with that sort of stuff?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
It's huge. All right, we're going to go all the way back with Shannon. All the way back. Do you want to go to before you were born or when you were born?
Well, we could, I recently, speaking of storytelling, I have one of my mentors, Bert Oliva, he's like, you got to start telling these stories. And I was just a little nervous about it. But, one that I shared was before I was born, that my mom was 16, in a time period where you're not supposed to have children out of wedlock, and her parents kind of disowned her.
Yep.
And she had me, and it was amazing, the love and the commitment. And in spite of all of the adversity, she met an amazing man who adopted me when I was 2. So that was kind of the beginning.
So she gave you up for adoption?
No, she still kept me.
He adopted you.
He adopted me.
I understand. Good dude.
Yeah, beautiful man.
Wow, how lucky, how fortunate. No coincidences, obviously, but pretty amazing that happened. I actually have a long lost sister. Her name's Rebecca. My mom, my late mom, who was in high school at the time, also had a baby, and she gave that child up for adoption through Catholic Charities. And then I met her for the first time 3 years ago. Dr. Hoffner-Prilliman is her name. I'm reminded of that when you tell me your story.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So, okay. So your mom was young. You were born. This man entered into the picture who you describe as a beautiful man, which is great. How goes your childhood?
They ended up buying some land up in Washington State. They built a log cabin
What?
together. They were all, the religion I grew up with was hippie and love,
Okay.
and I remember being really little, skinning logs, and starting to build a farm and garden, and the most remarkable thing that I remember was one winter we lived in a plastic house, and so
Right.
I don't know if you remember those aluminum round RVs back in
I do.
the day, and so we had one of those, and my dad was so brilliant at what he did. He built really thick plastic with 2x4s and like a thick foot layer so that the air wouldn't come through. And we had a stove in there and carpet and grass. It was just while it was being built, but it was just a really neat thing to have the white lights and the dark lights, and I think it took them a couple years to build it. It was really interesting. To fall in love with animals.
Wow.
We had animals, and I remember the first time we had a pig, and I fell in love with the pig, and my dad started talking about how we were going to be eating it. And I was just like, what do you mean we're going to be eating this pig?
Dude, I've been more or less vegan for 8 months ish. I don't know where you fall on the dietary stuff or whatever. No judgment here. You do you. But yeah, on and off vegetarian for a while. I remember, speaking of pigs, when I was young, my sister Chelsea, who is now a very successful entrepreneur herself, Chelsea Smith Cosmetics, shout out. She loved the movie Babe with the pig, and I remember having to describe to her, like, that's pork, and that did not sit well with her, So yeah, it's even more so when you actually love this animal, when you're hanging out with it, and that's heavy stuff.
Yeah, you must be feeling really good. Doesn't it feel clear? I'm not a consistent vegan now, but I did it for a couple of years, and it was just amazing, the clarity and the lightness.
It's pretty incredible for folks that have never done it. And it seems like you're gonna die. That's the narrative. Is like, you're gonna die, you anorexic death vegan, or whatever the word is, to describe it. It's not anorexic. What's the word I'm looking for? Malnutrition. Exactly. I'm like, yeah, no. Anyway, this isn't a show about veganism. The point that I'm trying to make is you had a very typical childhood. It's just run of the mill stuff. So you're in the woods in a plastic tent, like we all were. You were raised by hippies, which is great. I'm for that. Okay, so let's relate it to, let's tie that. Let's make a tie between the past and the present, because it's all the present, is it not? Okay, so you stand in front of a group of people now. I think a lot of the strength that you have to do things like that stems from your childhood. So what is the point? You want to make money. No one's going to fault you for that, right? You need to make a living. But what are you really hoping for when you're communicating in front of an audience? What do you want them to feel and experience and learn?
So for me, after that time period, I went through some separation and feeling alone. And so when I speak with people or connect people, I want to leave them with the message that if we are alone, it's by choice, and that there's lots of resources, lots of people that will connect, support, love. What I take a stand for is collaboration and community, and celebrating diversity and celebrating each other, and so that's the piece.
Wow, that's pretty intense. If you are alone, it's by choice. I feel like a lot of the great teachers that have made their way to this particular planet will slap you upside the head with something that is kind of brutal if you just really dissect it. And that's a brutal statement. isn't it? I mean, it's you say it because you're so nice and smiley and like everything's whatever, but the statement itself is brutal because there's all these people that are lonely and sad and depressed, and you're saying, yeah, okay, well, you do it to yourself.
Yeah,
Am I wrong?
I've been there. I just know that if we can pick up the phone, if we can reach out, if we go to meetup.com, I mean, there's
Oh
just
yeah,
so many ways to get connected.
yeah. There's no
And
question.
it,
Yeah,
and it starts with asking. It's like just those moments of, for me, I had to really set aside my ego, set aside my pain, set aside whatever might have been going on, and asking for help. Being willing to ask for help.
yeah. Let's talk about that, and let's tie that into success. So one of the reasons why I like doing deep dives on this show and talking not about what's your next Instagram post or what's the most effective Google Ads strategy for 2021 and establishing actual real relationships with people is because this is where the money comes from. And it seems like it should come from another source. It seems like it should be something that isn't a relationship with another human being. Like, oh, if I just get my ads right, if I just have to do my landing page correctly and then I'll make so much money. It's like, yeah, kinda, that's the intro at best. It is simply an introduction. And so what really drives the needle in terms of revenue, in my experience, is actual relationships with other human beings, which is what I'm trying to demonstrate by example on this show, is how to build a relationship. So let's talk about that. So you are alone, and well, you're not alone. You're in the woods with a couple of folks, your mom and your stepdad, your adopted dad. And was that lonely? I mean, were there other people
No,
around the log cabin? Like, help me understand.
What happened is that they had two more kids and they split up.
Oh, sure.
And my mom ended up kidnapping the kids.
Oof.
And leaving them, my dad's kids, and leaving me with my dad. And he had his very dark night of the soul, and it was over an extended time. So it was like having an absent father.
Whoa.
Went through moments of opening the fridge. There's not much food. He's working and just, there was a lot of alone time. And even when he was there, he wasn't always present.
Right.
And so that was one point I got put in the foster home,
Oof.
put in a couple of foster homes. And so I got to see this beautiful couple bring me in, along with, I think they had 3 or 4 other kids that they loved. And so it was just really beautiful to see, wow, there's these beautiful people that are just welcoming me in like a family. And why my dad kind of did his work, it was only there for a short time. That was a big wake up call.
Okay, so unpacking your life is going to take many episodes. I could just tell you that right away, right off the bat, because I am so confused. I am trying. I am desperately trying.
Sorry.
I am desperately, and it's not because you're not accurately describing what's happening. It's that I simply it's so deep. The well runs deep. Okay. All right. So, in case anyone's ever wondering, when you have someone that's on stage and they're delivering something that makes you feel something, it is, for lack of a better word, and the scientists will drive me, they'll be driven crazy by me saying this, but it's some sort of soul echo expansion thing that's happening. It's difficult to describe. They're literally transforming this chi, if you will, that existed in the past and manifesting it outwardly, so that you can feel that via the vibrations in their mouth and who they are. You know what I'm saying? So to me, when you stand on stage, it's like an echo of all of this life experience. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, good. Because I'm trying to make sense.
Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse it. I'm like, this is and what's interesting for me, Kellen, is that I haven't, that, it's just been recent where I've started sharing some of this stuff because somebody's like, people don't know you. And I've been like, oh, it doesn't matter.
It's the only thing that matters. It's everything. It's everything. It's everything. I saw a comedian once who was on stage and he's just totally chilled out, like the Buddha, just chilling up there. And I'm like, why is he so chill on stage? Like, how does he do it? And he said a line that I'll never forget. He said, I don't know if you guys know this, but this is therapy for me. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. You just rephrase it. You just go up and say, okay, instead of one therapist in a room that I pay $600 an hour, I have a room of 80 therapists, right? And I just tell them the gnarliest, craziest stuff about my life, and they laugh. They just think it's hilarious. I mean, best therapy ever. Just a room full of people that are like, ha ha ha, not that big of a deal. It's over. Fantastic. So, yeah, to the extent that that's true. Okay, so let's go back. This is so hard, but I'm trying. Okay, so mom, 16, has you. Incredible man enters to the picture. She ends up kidnapping. There were 3 kids total. You have 2 siblings?
I have 2 siblings, yeah.
Okay. She kidnaps them, but not...
in the 5th grade, my dad had custody. It was strange because she just signed over custody. Like, I still am not clear on why, but then it was about 2 weeks later, she left. We were supposed to pick up the kids and on one of the weekends and didn't show up, went up to the house was cleared out, and that's where it got really hard for my dad. My dad drove up there like every day for a month, and I'm like, as a little 5th grader going, the house is empty, they're not coming back, and he really suffered from that.
So she abandoned you, and the man that you talked about that came into the picture at 2, he's the man you stayed with who had custody?
Yes. Yeah.
So what sort of mental illness did your mom have that she would do that? Or am I totally off base in saying
no? So she and in her mind, she felt like she did everything to because if you hear her story, it's a lot different from what I remember.
Okay.
But she was doing a lot of recreational stuff at the time.
Okay.
And she was really struggling with my dad's divorcing her. And at the time, he ended up finding, a spiritual path.
Okay.
And it just didn't sync up. And because when I was going to see her on the weekends that it was just really dysfunctional. I was at an age where I was like, I don't want to be in this environment.
Wow.
So I think for her, she had a life of rejections. We have to go back to when she was 16. Like, her parents just said, "You're out."
Right.
And she also, from a young child, had black hair with a gray streak here, and so people would make fun of her in school as a skunk. And so she just, she had a lot of rejection.
Right.
And I think it wasn't her really rejecting me. It's like her not knowing how to deal with my rejection, if that makes sense.
Her not knowing how to deal with you. No, that doesn't make sense. I don't get it.
Meaning like I, at one point in this particular weekend that she left, I just said, I don't want to come see you.
Oh, that's okay. So she, careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oof. Heavy.
Yes. And beautiful. I mean, we talk now and everything, like, we've done all the healing.
Yeah. So if nothing else is going to sell you on why you should go see Shannon, or, it's all virtual now. So see Shannon in your jams from your house when she does a virtual thing. There is no substitute for difficulty setting, if this makes any sense. I think a lot of people look at the most successful folks on the planet and they go, I want that. And then you talk to the most successful people on the planet and they go, do you realize what difficulty setting I'm on? By choice, every day, all of the time. and this is the nature of choice on this planet. So the difficulty setting that many people find themselves on, and look, there is no avoiding suffering. Everyone suffers.
Yes.
That's it's like being born a dolphin and expecting not to get wet. There's just best of luck to you on that. That's the first noble truth of Buddhism is there is suffering. It just is what it is. So I think, and this is my effort to promote you for folks. If these stories aren't resonating with you, you haven't been listening, as far as I'm concerned, or you don't speak English, and then we have another problem. Okay, so let's talk about making dollar bills, y'all. So would you say that your community that you're building is the soil on which people can plant seeds that grow money?
Absolutely. I have a Trailblazers community, and we work with visionary new thought leaders, even startups, and we use the same model that I shared with you about teaching them how to communicate, how to connect, how to ask,
right,
and really be in community through ups and downs.
Okay. And do you have sort of some weekly, monthly meetings? How does this work?
Yes. Yep. We have online curriculum, and some of it is, most of it is business related, how to create agreements for collaboration, how to access free publicity, how to create a press kit. We have a lot of curriculum, and then we meet and mastermind ongoing. We have an ongoing thread where people can connect and ask for whatever they want, but we meet once a month, and then we also bring in experts to teach currently.
And how much of it is getting to meet other people?
I would say it's more of a family. So we teach you how to go out and meet other people, and then everybody makes introductions. So there is an ongoing, once you get to know somebody and you know what they're looking for, and you spend time with them in a family environment, it's just this is who comes to mind.
Yeah. How long have you been doing it?
This I've been doing 6 years.
Okay. And when you were thinking about starting doing it, what were the hurdles to actually get it off the ground?
Because I had produced over 400 events, I have a system to do events, getting sponsorship, and I do concept design. And my barrier is that I was so in my head that I couldn't get beyond the numbers. And so finally I had really big, huge celebrity people, 2 people booked to speak. And finally I said, you know what? I'm not going to worry about any of that. I'm just going to offer this event at cost and cover my costs, so I don't get caught up in things. And it was funny. I had them booked for months. And then like 2 months before I said, okay, I'm going to do this, and filled it up. And that was the beginning. I had to get over my own mental block of systems and structure. And I know that sounds crazy because we need those things. We need budgets. We need a process. But for me, that became a block.
The consistent and complete reinvestment in the company with infinite faith is something that takes patience and understanding. I had a good year my first year with Send It Rising, and then I haven't made a penny more since the initial year. I've sunk every single dollar, and when I say into the company, that's a silly way of describing it, into the staff. I bonus everyone out. I met with a gentleman on a golf course who basically said he owned the largest title company in Montana, and he said, don't be greedy. Just don't be greedy. Pay better than the other people, and you just be absolutely amazed what happens. And so not surprising to me that you decided to basically take it at cost. I mean, that's just marketing 101, right? It's just do it. Get butts in seats, So that's pretty good. So we've got 6 minutes remaining on the show. So I want to get back to it. Let's see if we can do a quick summary. 16-year-old mom, man enters your life, adopted dad. 5th grade, your mom leaves the situation. He's still there, but he's not present. He's suffering, obviously. And then what happens?
So then I went into the 2 foster homes.
That's right. So he was willing to let you go then?
No, the school, the school had got word of kind of the food situation.
Oh.
And they actually took me from my dad and placed me in one place, and then moved me to a more permanent, and he was really rapid to get me out. And once he got me out, we moved out of the area completely to get a brand new start and moved to Spokane, Washington with the
Whoa. So was he able to see you, communicate with you, talk to you during all this transition?
Yes, he was. Yeah. It was on a limited thing, and that's actually when my mom came back. When my mom heard that I was in the foster care, that's when she revealed that that she was, through a relative, she was in Florida, and so that's when she came back. And shortly after that, me and my dad together went to see her in Florida, and it was the beginning of the reuniting.
Okay. And you have a good relationship with your mom?
It goes up and down, but I'm in a place where I love her and I understand her pain and suffering, and I just, she's done the absolute best she could with what she had.
That's right. It sounds like you've forgiven her for past transgressions.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. I think it was divine, really. I mean, it made me who I am today.
Yeah, seriously. And then it's funny to me because I'll be on stage and just the heart's going and sweating, and it's just that moment. And the funny thing too is the anxiety leading up to moments is usually so much worse than the actual moment itself, and that's good to remember. So when you see someone on stage, this goes to the audience, just know that they've been thinking about this for weeks. Usually it's not like they're up there now and you're like, oh, good for them, they get up. No, it's like there's a huge buildup. There's a huge, like, you have to have a certain amount of willpower and mana stored up to like get up there and deliver. And so I'm reminded of your childhood. I'm reminded of the multiple surgeries. I'm reminded of the foster care. Those feelings, you could call them spiritual, you could call them biochemical, just the way that the brain is interacting with the body when you're younger, of just despair and pain, are similar to getting up in front of a group of people. It's similar. It's terrifying. And so it doesn't surprise me that, and we were just talking about Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. yesterday on the show, right? And his dad whipped him by his own account. I mean, he had a rough go at it, obviously. And so I wouldn't ever condone a rough childhood. Duh. I'm trying to get my kids the best possible childhood ever. You know what I mean? And everyone knows that. But I just find that there's a common thread, of at least public speakers or leaders and this pretty gnarly, for lack of a better word, childhood. So I'm absolutely enthralled by your childhood. I think you should lead with that. I think you should lead with that, with your stuff, because they will instantly fall in love with you and go, okay, all right, you lead, I will follow. There's just something, oh yeah, big time. So it is 10:59. My kids are being kids. I don't know if you can hear them in the background.
That's okay, I got mine in the background too.
Oh, dude, forget it. It's just like, Corona. Anyway, we have 1 minute. Inspire the folks.
I would love to connect with anybody. If you go to meetshannon.com, I have lots of free gifts, and you can connect on all the social media. And hopefully you've been inspired to know that just reach out and ask if you need help, connect. And if you're in that low or depressed place, please reach out to me. I love, making sure that nobody feels alone. I may not be able to be the answer, but I can guarantee you I know somebody who might be.
Yeah, that's right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a glorious episode 152 of Marketing as a Foreign Language. We're very business focused today. And again, the connection between an actual relationship with a human being and business is the connection, in case you're curious or wondering. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a blast. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.